All right, ready for another deep dive?
Absolutely, bring it on.
Today, we're tackling 55 questions across 8 dimensions for a new you by Manoj Chintamarakshan.
Interesting title.
It is, and it's not your typical self-help book.
Oh, how so?
Well, he uses these targeted questions across, like the title says, 8 dimensions
Okay.
to help you, well, uncover a new you.
Sounds intriguing.
It's all about self-discovery and personal growth, but in a very structured, unique way.
I like that. Structured. A lot of these books, they're kind of all over the place.
Right.
Not really giving you a framework to work with.
Exactly. And one thing that really stood out to me was his take on using a partner for this process.
Oh, having someone to bounce these questions off of.
Yeah, like a built-in accountability buddy for your self-discovery journey.
That's a great idea.
Just like someone holding up a mirror, but instead of just your physical appearance, it's reflecting your inner world,
I like that.
your beliefs, aspirations, everything.
So it's a way to go deeper than just surface-level self-reflection.
Exactly. And the book starts with self-image,
Makes sense. Gotta start with the foundation.
right? And I love how Chintamarakshan kicks things off with that fundamental question. Who am I?
Such a simple question,
Deceptively simple,
but so profound.
if you really think about it.
Yeah, if we don't even know who we are.
How can we possibly set goals or make choices?
That actually align with what we want.
Exactly. It's like building a house on sand.
Without a solid foundation, everything crumbles.
And the book goes beyond just asking, who am I? It digs into all these different aspects of self-image.
Like what?
Well, there are questions about your strengths.
Like, what am I good at?
Yeah. What are my top 3 strengths? Or what am I usually complimented for?
Oh, I like that. Focusing on the positive.
Right. And then there are questions about overcoming obstacles.
Obstacles.
Yeah, like what are the biggest obstacles you've overcome?
Mm-hmm.
And how did you do it? Or even what makes you lose track of time?
That's interesting. How does that relate to obstacles?
Well, when you're so engrossed in something that you lose track of time, you're usually in a flow state.
Right.
And that often means you're overcoming challenges, pushing past your limits without even realizing it.
I see. It's about recognizing those moments of effortless effort,
Exactly.
where you're so engaged, you don't even see the obstacles as obstacles.
And he ties this into identifying your passions, too.
Oh, how so?
Well, he asks things like, if money were no object, what would you do?
The classic dream job question.
Yeah. But it's a good one because it gets to the heart of what truly fulfills you.
What you do, even if you didn't have to work for money.
Exactly. And then he asks, what completes you as a person? And who are your top 3 role models?
Okay, getting into values now.
Yeah. He's asking you to define what matters most to you, who you admire, and why.
It's like painting a picture of your ideal self.
And then comparing it to your current self and seeing where the gaps are.
Interesting.
And once you have that solid foundation of self-awareness,
Then what?
well, that's when the book moves on to goal setting.
Okay, makes sense to build on that foundation.
But what I appreciate is that he doesn't just jump into goal-setting techniques.
He connects it back to your self-awareness.
Exactly. He emphasizes that your goals should stem from that deep understanding of yourself.
So it's not just about setting arbitrary goals.
No, it's about setting goals that are aligned with who you are.
And what you truly want.
Otherwise, you're just going through the motions.
Without a real sense of purpose.
He actually quotes Tony Robbins in the book.
Oh, what does he say?
Clarity is power.
That's a good one.
It's so true.
Yeah.
Without clarity about who you are and what you want.
Your goals are just going to be empty.
And he uses this brilliant analogy to illustrate this point.
What's that?
Imagine having a state-of-the-art private jet,
Nice.
but no destination in mind.
Oh, I see where this is.
All that potential wasted.
Flying around aimlessly.
And that's how a lot of people approach their lives.
They're so busy doing.
But they don't know where they're
I
going.
don't clear direction.
And so Chintamarakshan guides you toward finding that destination.
Okay, how does he do that?
He starts by asking, what fulfills you as an individual?
So it's about identifying what truly lights you up.
Exactly. Not what society tells you should fulfill you.
But what genuinely resonates with you.
And once you've identified those fulfilling paths,
Then you can start setting goals that will lead you there.
and you make sure you have the right tools for the journey
Tools.
by asking you about the skills you need to achieve those goals.
Ah, so it's not just about dreaming big.
It's about being prepared.
Having the right skills and resources.
And he encourages you to find a second supporting reason to bolster your motivation.
A second reason. What's that?
It's like a backup generator.
For your motivation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Something to keep you going even when the initial excitement fades.
Give me an example.
So let's say your main goal is to get a promotion at work,
Okay.
but your second reason is to use that extra income to travel the world.
Or to support a cause you're passionate about,
Exactly. Having that extra layer of motivation can make all the difference.
especially when things get tough.
And speaking of staying on track, Chintamarakshan is a big believer in deadlines.
Deadlines.
Yeah. He says a goal without a deadline is just a wish.
I like that. It adds a sense of urgency.
And accountability.
So it's not just enough to say, I want to achieve this someday,
You have to give yourself a time frame.
which forces you to actually take action.
And then he goes a step further with this really interesting visualization exercise.
Oh, tell me about that.
He asks you to imagine achieving your goal.
Like, really picture it.
Yeah. What would happen?
Mm.
How would your surroundings change? What would you see, hear, and feel?
So it's about creating a vivid mental picture of success.
And he even asks, how would you remind yourself to stay on track,
Because staying motivated can be hard.
especially in the long run?
It's easy to get sidetracked.
So he's encouraging you to think about strategies for maintaining your momentum.
I love how practical this is.
It's not just theory, it's actionable advice
It's like he's giving you a roadmap.
for creating the life you want,
And we've only just scratched the surface. There's
Yeah.
so much more to explore in 55 questions.
including the power of beliefs, identifying opportunities, and taking action.
This is already blowing my mind.
I know, right? And I'm sure our listeners are eager to dive deeper.
Can't wait to uncover more of these secrets to a new you.
Stay tuned as we continue our deep dive into 55 questions across 8 dimensions for a new you.
Buckle up, everyone. It's going to be a wild ride.
We'll be right back after a short break.
Don't go anywhere.
All right, welcome back to our deep dive into 55 questions.
I'm ready to keep uncovering these layers.
Me too, and today we're talking about something that can really make or break our progress.
Oh, what's that?
Our beliefs,
Yes, those underlying beliefs.
the ones that shape our thoughts and actions.
We don't always realize how much they influence us.
It's like they're operating behind the scenes.
Running the show without us even knowing it.
And sometimes those beliefs can be limiting.
Holding us back from reaching our full potential.
And Chintamarakshan really gets this.
He does.
He dedicates a whole dimension to belief and value questions.
Interesting.
It's like he's shining a spotlight on those hidden beliefs.
The ones that are either helping us or hurting us,
And he helps us confront them.
which can be scary,
It can be because we get so comfortable in our familiar ways of thinking.
even if they're not serving us anymore.
But Chintamarakshan's questions are like a gentle nudge.
Encouraging us to take a closer look.
And ask ourselves, is this belief really true?
Is it helping me or holding me back?
Exactly. And it reminds me of that Wayne Dyer quote.
Which one?
The only limits you have are the limits you believe.
So powerful.
If we believe we're not capable of something,
Then we're probably right.
but if we challenge that belief,
And open ourselves up to new possibilities.
who knows what we might achieve?
It's all about mindset.
And Chintamarakshan starts this section with a really thought-provoking question.
What's that?
He asks, what do I stand for?
Wow, that's getting right to the core.
It is. It's about identifying your values,
The principles that guide your decisions.
your moral compass.
And once you know what you stand for,
You can start making choices that align with those values.
living a life that's true to yourself.
And then he asks this seemingly random question.
What's that?
What irritates me the most?
That's an interesting one.
But it's actually quite revealing.
How so?
Well, the things that irritate us often point to our values.
Really? Give me an example.
So if someone's constantly annoyed by people who are late,
Okay.
it might suggest they value punctuality.
And respect for others' time.
Exactly. So by paying attention to those little annoyances,
We can gain insights into our own beliefs.
and then he dives into the concept of success
Success.
by asking, what does a successful person mean to me?
That's a good question because success can mean different things to different people.
Exactly. For some, it's about wealth
For others, it's about making a difference.
or having strong relationships.
There's no one-size-fits-all definition.
And once you've defined what success looks like to you,
Then what?
Chintamarakshan challenges you to compare your current self to your successful self
So it's like looking in the mirror
and asking what needs to change.
to bridge that gap.
Exactly. He asks, what's the difference between the present me and the successful me?
And that can be a powerful motivator.
It highlights what you need to work on.
But instead of getting discouraged by that gap,
Chintamarakshan encourages you to use it as fuel for growth.
how does he do that?
He asked, What is holding me back from taking action?
Identifying those roadblocks
The limiting beliefs and fears.
that are preventing us from moving forward.
And then he goes even deeper
How so?
by asking, what do I need to change mentally and how?
So it's not just about external actions.
It's about internal shifts as well.
Changing your mindset.
And he also asks about habits.
Habits.
What habits do I need to change and how?
Because our habits shape our lives.
They can either support us or sabotage us.
And sometimes those habits are so ingrained.
It's hard to even recognize them.
But Chintamarakshan has these unstuck questions.
Oh, I love those. They're like little mental puzzles.
Designed to help us break free from negative patterns.
For example, he asks, where do my thoughts ponder most of the time?
Making us aware of those thought loops.
That can keep us stuck.
And once we're aware of them,
We can start to challenge them.
choose a different path.
And that leads us to the next dimension.
Which is
Opportunities.
questions.
Opportunities.
It's all about shifting our perspective.
From what?
From scarcity to abundance.
Seeing the possibilities instead of the limitations.
Recognizing that opportunities exist even in challenging times.
I like that.
And he challenges us to overcome excuses.
Excuses.
By asking, what could I do to change this situation?
Taking ownership.
Instead of playing the victim.
And he also prompts us to think about our resources.
Well, resources. What resources do I have to achieve my goals?
Our skills, our network, our creativity.
Even our own determination. It's about using what we already have.
To create positive change.
And I love how he encourages collaboration.
Collaboration. Whom can I get help from?
We don't have to do everything alone.
There are people who can support us.
Offer guidance, share their expertise.
It's about leveraging the power of community.
And then he asks a very practical question.
What's that? What do you think is required to speed up this process?
Oh, I see. Getting down to brass tacks.
Sometimes we need to step outside our comfort zone.
Take risks.
Make sacrifices.
To achieve our goals.
It's about being honest with ourselves.
About what it will really take.
To reach our destination.
And that brings us to the fifth dimension.
Action questions.
This is where the rubber meets the road.
Ideas become reality.
And Chintamarakshan knows this.
He even quotes Gary Vaynerchuk.
What does he say?
Ideas are shit. Execution matters.
Ouch, but true.
We can dream all we want.
But without action, those dreams will remain just dreams.
And so Chintamarakshan helps us bridge that gap.
Between dreaming and doing it.
How? He breaks down our goals into smaller steps.
Makes them more manageable.
What do I want to achieve in 6 months, 3 months, 1 month, and this week?
Creating a clear action plan.
With specific tasks we can start on today.
But staying on track can be hard.
Especially when life gets in the way.
So he encourages us to think about resources and obstacles.
What resources do I need to stay on track?
What might prevent me from taking action?
How will I deal with those challenges?
It's like he's saying, let's plan for success, but also for the bumps along the road.
Exactly. And that brings us to the sixth dimension.
Which is?
Accountability.
Accountability.
Having a support system.
Someone to cheer us on.
And hold us accountable.
Keep us motivated.
Because it's so much easier to stay committed.
When we have someone to share the journey with.
And Chintamarakshan helps us choose the right accountability partner.
Okay, how?
He asks questions like, whom will I associate with?
Whose help is required?
Whom will I call when I feel down?
Who is my coach?
It's about finding someone who truly supports your vision.
And challenges you to grow.
And that brings us to the seventh dimension.
I'm intrigued. What is it?
It's all about habits.
Habits.
Habit questions.
Oh, right. Those small daily actions that add up over time.
This section really resonated with me.
It did.
It reminded me that success isn't just about grand gestures.
It's about consistency.
Making those small choices every day.
That eventually lead to big results.
Chintamarakshan actually quotes Earl Nightingale here.
What does he say?
Success is really nothing more than the progressive realization of a worthy ideal.
Wow.
It's not about the destination.
It's about the journey.
And he encourages us to think about the habits that will support our goals.
What habits should we adopt?
What would remind me to stick with the plan?
Creating structure and systems.
Setting ourselves up for success.
And finally, we reach the eighth dimension.
This one's all about celebration.
Celebration?
Celebration questions.
I like where this is going.
Because it's so easy to get caught up in the hustle.
And forget to acknowledge our wins.
But celebrating those milestones,
no matter how small,
can be incredibly motivating. Chintamarakshan wants us to ask ourselves,
okay,
what were my biggest achievements this year?
How would I celebrate achieving this goal?
What are the milestone celebrations?
Whom would I share this victory with?
It's about savoring those moments of success,
And sharing our joy with others.
creating a positive feedback loop.
That reinforces our commitment to growth.
So there you have it.
The 8 dimensions of 55 questions.
A comprehensive guide to personal transformation.
From self-awareness to celebration.
And the best part is,
What's that?
you don't need any special qualifications to use this book.
Just a willingness to be honest with yourself.
And a desire to grow,
And a little bit of curiosity.
to explore the possibilities that lie within.
This is really making me want to grab a copy of this book.
Me too. It's like a treasure map for self-discovery.
And anyone can use it
But for our listeners who are feeling inspired,
to embark on their own deep dive,
what's one piece of advice you'd offer?
to help them get the most out of it.
That's a good question. I'd say, don't try to do everything at once.
It can be overwhelming.
There are 55 questions after all.
Across 8 dimensions.
So start with one dimension that resonates with you,
Maybe it's self-image or goal setting.
or belief.
Whatever feels most relevant right now.
Break it down into smaller steps.
And don't be afraid to revisit the questions later.
Because our understanding of ourselves evolves over time.
What resonated with you a year ago might hold a different meaning today.
It's a continuous process of discovery.
A lifelong journey.
And now, as we wrap up this part of our deep dive,
We like to leave our listeners with a thought-provoking question
something to ponder.
as they continue their own self-discovery journey.
So we've talked about how Chintamarakshan encourages us to identify,
To things we'd continue doing.
even if money were no object.
To uncover our true passions.
But what if we flip that question around?
Flipped it. How so?
What if we asked ourselves,
Okay.
what are you doing now that you wouldn't do if money were no object?
Oh, that's interesting.
It forces us to examine our current choices.
Are we on the right path?
Are we pursuing certain things out of necessity rather than passion,
Staying in jobs that drain us.
just because they pay the bills?
That's a reality check.
To see if we're truly living in alignment with our values.
And if not,
Maybe it's time to start making some changes
even small ones.
to create a life that feels more authentic,
More fulfilling.
a life that we wouldn't trade.
Even for all the money in the world.
And we're back for the final part of our deep dive into Manoj Chintamarakshan's 55 questions across 8 dimensions for a new you.
We've covered a lot of ground.
We have, from self-image to goal setting,
Beliefs, opportunities, action.
habits, accountability, even celebration.
It's amazing how all these pieces fit together,
But a puzzle.
creating a complete picture of personal growth.
And what strikes me is how practical this book is.
Yeah, it's not just theory.
It's actionable advice
Concrete steps you can take.
to create real change in your life.
And it's all based on this foundation of self-awareness.
Knowing yourself, your values, your aspirations,
And then using that knowledge to set goals that are meaningful to you.
and achievable.
Because what's the point of setting goals?
If you're not going to actually reach them,
Right? You need a plan.
and strategies for overcoming obstacles.
And that's what Chintamarakshan gives you.
A roadmap for success.
But it's not a one-size-fits-all roadmap,
It's a personalized journey.
tailored to your unique needs and desires.
And I love how he emphasizes the importance of a support system.
Having people to cheer you on
Hold you accountable.
and help you stay motivated.
Because let's face it, personal growth can be tough.
There are going to be challenges,
Setbacks.
moments of doubt,
But that's where your support system comes in.
to remind you why you started in the first place.
And to help you get back on track.
And don't forget about celebrating your wins.
Big or small.
Every step forward is a victory,
Worth acknowledging and appreciating.
because that's what keeps you going
Fuels your motivation.
and reminds you that you're capable of amazing things.
So if you're feeling inspired to embark on your own self-discovery journey,
Chintamarakshan's 55 questions is a great place to start.
it's a toolbox filled with everything you need
To uncover your true potential.
and create a life that you truly love.
And remember,
It's a journey, not a destination.
take your time
Be patient with yourself.
and celebrate every step along the way.
Well, that wraps up our deep dive into 55 questions.
It's been an insightful exploration
I hope our listeners are feeling empowered
to take control of their own lives.
and create the future they desire.
Remember, the power to change is within you.
Thanks for joining us on this journey of self-discovery,
Until next time, keep asking those tough questions.
and keep striving to become the best version of yourself